Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to St. Lucians for YLAI 2024. My name is Michelle Samuel, and I'm your moderator for this afternoon. I know that you can't see me physically on camera. That's because my device miraculously decided not to show my face today. And maybe that's a good thing because the focus for today's session is not on me, it's on my two guests who are joining me backstage. You'll be hearing from them momentarily. So, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube, I bid you welcome. So, what is YLAI? What is the Young Leaders of the Americas initiative that you've been hearing so much about and you've been learning so much about, either from person sharing it on your email, or you've been seeing flyers about it on WhatsApp, or even on Facebook? You may have been seeing or hearing talk about why like this and why like that. What is it? So today, St. Lucians, you are going to hear a lot more about this program. You're going to understand who it is for and specifically what it can do for you. You're going to hear about experiences from two persons who have actually participated in this initiative. And you're also going to be introduced to one special young lady who was selected to participate in this year's fellowship. So, without further ado, I am going to quickly ask that you share this link, share this live with as many people as possible, of course, including the hashtag YLAI2024, so that the whole movement can catch on. So, the very first guest I'm going to be speaking with participated in the Young Leaders of the Americas initiative in 2022. So this young lady is goes by the name of Veronique Lamontagne-Flerin. I'm hoping that I pronounced the name correctly. I hope I didn't butcher her name too much. So when she comes on screen, she's going to correct me. We're going to have a little bit of a discussion with her. And then I'm going to introduce my next guest, who is the current fellow selected for this year. And we're going to have a bit of an exchange so that last year's fellow can explain what to expect so that this year's finalist is not too culture shocked by what she may face. So I now bring on floor with me, Miss Veronique Lamontagne-Flerin. Did I say your name correctly? That's the first thing I
Yeah,
want to say.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, people call me like they pronounce it differently, but as long as you don't call me Veronica, I'm fine. We don't like that. Veronics, we don't like that at all. But I
Okay.
usually say Veronic because there's supposed to be an accent on the E because it's supposed to be French, the first E. So I usually say
Ah,
Veronic.
okay, awesome. Well, at least I did my best. So, again, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, Veronique.
Yeah,
So,
sure,
we,
no
of
problem.
course, are going to have a little chat about your
Mhm.
experience. But before we get into your experience, which is what, of course, the nitty gritty, we want to get to know a bit more about who you are, and what you do. So, can you tell us what is the nature of your business?
Sure. So I'm a sole trader. I have a sole trader business. I'm an M&E consultant. For those who don't know, it's a monitoring and evaluation consultant. Um, and what I basically do is like I build systems within organizations or projects that allow managers to understand their performance, providing them with regular reports using their own data. I mean, it's a lot. I try to make it as simple as possible for people to understand, but it has so many layers to it and so many benefits as well, depending on your project, your organization, or your goals. But most of the times when you think about performance, a lot of people think about employees, which is a significant part of it, yes. But it's really about looking at your processes because in your organizations and your projects, you generate data that is very useful and could show you trends and actually help you put out small fires before they become large fires, that's one of the benefits, of course. So I try to build those systems within organizations. I've worked on projects where I've given lend my expertise on M&E and how to collect data and how to use it. And in the private sector, it's actually called business intelligence or BI for short. And it focuses more on the monitoring aspect more than the evaluation aspect, unless you have some type of social goal, some type of social aspect of your business. But yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. If you follow us on social media, you'll probably find out more for you to understand it a little bit. But it's a little complex.
Okay, so you're saying it's a little complex, but from what you're explaining, from the perspective of someone who has never seen your business or doesn't know
Right.
the nature of the business, who would you say is your target market or your ideal client? Who is it that you basically solve problems for?
Actually, it's for everyone, but specifically where it's most important is government agencies.
Government
Any
agencies. So,
organization, as I said, you could do public, private, and it's kind of called different things but it's more or less the same thing. You also hear data science a lot being used, but it has more to do programming and querying data on the back end and stuff like that. But government agencies definitely my biggest target market, and any private organization that just wants to learn and grow from any lessons that they have, or any really really, if you want to just keep track of trends within your business so you could see where you could go in 10 years, because obviously we're human beings, we cannot really predict the future. But that's one of the best things about data is that it could help us predict the future based on trends from the past.
excellent, excellent. So I know that we connected a little before your
Hmm.
fellowship in 2022,
Hmm.
and we were supposed to have reconnected after your return, but things have been so busy
I could
that we
imagine.
were not able to do so. But I'm hoping that after this discussion, we can do just that.
Sure.
So let's take a look at your journey from the nature of your business and what you do to the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative Fellowship. How did the two meet? How did you hear about the program?
Okay, so actually it was through you. I cannot remember what it was or what. I think you were teaming up with another organization. You're presenting, giving persons opportunity to present on the business, and it was being critiqued. That was the
Oh, that maybe
session.
started from St. Lucia.
Yes, that's what it was. And then I just came on just to see what it was going on. And in between that, you advertised YLAI. And I was like, oh, let me go look into this. And then I realized that, oh, wow, this could be a really good opportunity for me, especially with the fact that with my business and especially being a sole trader single, um, with M&E, it's a young discipline, I would say, especially in the Caribbean at least. I would say maybe the last 20, 30 years, we've been implementing it, not practicing it the best. But I really felt like I needed the opportunity to go outside of the Caribbean to see how really it's done, or just find out a little bit more to see what I could bring back and learn, and repeat, I guess, in the Caribbean, because it's something we really need. Because as you know, we rely on a lot of projects for development, and one of the things we need to do is monitor them properly so we can learn from our mistakes. So I thought that it would be a really, really good opportunity for me. And it was. And it was. I would, yeah, it was.
Okay, so let's take a look at the description. Now, when I say the description, I'm specifically referring to what the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in the description, it says that it is an opportunity for, of course, business leaders to improve their leadership skills and their entrepreneurial skills through hands on experience, online coursework, and face to face training. Now, when you see that, did you think that you were going to be in a classroom, or did you suspect that you were going to be doing, lots of workshops? What did you expect or think you would have been doing when you read those lines?
Well, the fact that they're taking fellows from the Western Hemisphere, I figured we would definitely not be in a classroom. And the fact that I was the only fellow too, I would think they would not. The only fellow from Saint Lucia. Well, at the time, that's what I figured that out after. But I figured it would not be in a classroom. Let me say that. So I figured everything would be virtual, especially after COVID and stuff like that. Everything is easier virtually. And the fact that there's like 300 of us, 200 to 300 of us, I figured that everything would be online and stuff like that. So I kind of just look forward to that. And they did a really good job of keeping us informed, not fully, but just as we needed to know information, they sent it out to us as we needed to know. So that was really good.
Okay, excellent. Now, I'm just going to jump into a bit of a sidewinder here. So, moving into the fellowship itself. So, for those of you
Hmm.
who are listening and watching, if you have to look at the program in itself, you first need to know what it is. Okay, so the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative is a fellowship. It was created by the United States Department of State, Bureau of Educational Cultural Affairs. And it's basically a flagship program specifically for emerging entrepreneurs and business leaders from our region, and by extension, the Western Hemisphere. So the fellowship comprises a 5 week exchange program. And that exchange program, the duration is about 5 to 6 weeks. And what, of course, you can hope to gain from that is some of what Veronique will be sharing very shortly. Now, let's take a look at, the application. When that finally opened up and you saw that it was, the time to apply. It's one thing, to apply for the fellowship, but it's another thing
Hmm.
to prepare for the fellowship. So can you tell
Hmm.
me what was the preparation like for you in the fellowship for last year?
Sure. So once I found out that I would be an actual participant, you mean?
Well, before I jump there, maybe I should allow you to give us an idea as to what the process was like so persons can know what to expect. So, from the
Okay.
time you fill out the application, explain to us the process up to the point where you are preparing for the fellowship.
Yes, it actually takes a while. Like it takes almost like a year. Um, I remember I applied around this time because I think the application is open for 2024 right now. So I applied around January, February. I said, well, let me just, apply. And with the application, I was able to um take my time really, especially if you want to give yourself some time to answer the questions because some of them are like in essay form, and you don't want to sell yourself short, so you want to really give it some thought. And I think once I turned it in fairly early, by about, so that was maybe February, so by about, that's February 2021. And then by April or March I found out that I was shortlisted, and then I think we had an interview. And the interview, in the interview, I was interviewed by maybe six people, if I remember correctly, from the embassy, our embassy, the Eastern Caribbean embassy based in Barbados. There was a fellow from there as well. I mean, he was a solution fellow, Johannes, right? Dujon. I think he was there as well, and as a fellow representative for the panel. And yeah, I just I've done a few interviews, so I can't even remember the questions, but and I'm not even sure if they gave us anything to prepare. If they did, then I probably did prepare for that. But I just went through. I made sure I went through my answers to my questions as well on the application. I saved them, um, and yeah, maybe by September I found out that I was a finalist. I think I was waitlisted, and then I became a finalist. I'm not sure. And then from around then we started preparing everything because they have to help you with your visa to get over there as well. So they're just little things. As I said, like once we were supposed to know information, they would release that information or ask us for this or for that. So it's good to just prepare for information about with your legal documents and stuff like that, what you call it, your medical records and stuff like that. So yeah, so then so that's what September, October, November, and about January we started the online program, where we were learning with the different modules, and then for us, because we from the Eastern Caribbean, the smaller islands, those that are served by the U.S. Embassy, about we went to the U.S. Embassy for a couple of days to get our stuff done. That's persons from like the Eastern Caribbean states, like Saint Lucia, um, well, of course, persons from Barbados was there, Dominica, Antigua, these Caribbean countries that are served by our embassy. We all met in March. Um, and we spent like a couple of days. It was a little workshop. It was like a pre-YLAI thing, which was really nice. And I don't think many of the fellows get to experience that. So it was really good. So you got to travel and stuff and for a couple of days, and it was nice. It was nice, meeting other people, learning about their businesses and their stories and stuff like that, and seeing where they are and networking with them as well. And then around that time, I also found out where I was going. Before I got to Barbados, I think I was one of the first people to find out where I was going to be placed, which is something I guess we'll talk about in a little bit. Um, so I started actually, well, that'll be some of my advice later on, like started researching the place. Around that time too, I was introduced to my host organization as well. So I started speaking with them over the phone. So that's about February, March 2022. And then it's just a matter of preparing step by step, staying on top of the emails and stuff like that until you get to June, which is when the fellowship starts, when you leave, when the fellowship actually starts.
Okay, so you basically walked us through the journey and the steps, and I know my other guest is probably taking notes as to the various steps that you described. Of course, no two fellowships are exactly the same. That's something that I can definitely attest to.
I trust me, I can tell you the same. Even if you're in the same city, trust me, I have some stories that they were not pleasant for some people at all.
Oh my gosh. And of course, with every experience, there are some pros and there are some cons, as
Of
can be
course.
expected. So, what I want to do at this point is just to sort of inform persons of a little bit of what Veronique mentioned. So, in terms of the meeting with the other persons within the region, so the US
Mhm.
Embassy based in Barbados, the one for the Eastern Caribbean, before fellows from the Eastern Caribbean islands, the seven islands that they govern, basically go to the fellowship, they bring you in to the embassy and they brief you, right?
Mhm.
There's this briefing where you get to meet everyone in the Eastern Caribbean region that's going to be participating. So you get to know who everybody is. It's sort of like an informal networking session. And there are people who give a few brief remarks. You get a package from the embassy, and there's a pin that they give you. Do you have your pin, by the way, Veronica?
Yes, I still have. If I knew that I would have worn it today. I have it. I have posted on my social media as well. It was really nice. It's like your flag and the American flag, like a
Yes,
reflection of the two. It's
it's
really nice.
it sort of looks like a dual citizenship, type of
Right.
pin. I
Hmm.
think that would be the only thing that would make me believe that I have dual citizenship is that pin. That's
Okay.
literally all.
Well, trying to
Because of
present
course
that
I
at some
don't,
government
but that is the
agencies.
only thing that make me really. Yes. So let's take a look at the program itself, right? So you were placed, and that is the term, that is the jargon that is used in the fellowship. But
Mhm.
basically, what it is that whatever business that you registered for the fellowship with, the
Mhm.
organizers is IREX. IREX is an organization that is the host and implementer of the YLAI program. So
Right.
IREX, along with their strategic partners, they would look at your application and they would select either NGOs or other companies that have businesses within the same sector or within the same nature of your business. And you would then be paired together. So, this is
Mhm.
what the placement talk seems like in actuality. So you would be assigned to that organization or that company wherever they are based. Now, let's take a look at that organization or that company that you were placed with, Veronique, because of course we have an idea now of what you do and the nature of your business. So tell us, who did they match you with?
One thing before I say who they are and what they do, because once I say it, it might seem like kind of weird. But another component we haven't spoken about with the project is the competition, the business problem competition. So in the application, another component, I'm sure you'll speak on it too, but I'll just say quickly that for those, oh, unless you want to go ahead and say that, no?
No, no. I'll let you
Okay,
take
so
that.
yeah, so besides the online classes and besides the placement, there's also a competition that takes place. Well, the finals take place in Washington on the last week. But each of us had to not create, tell the organization what was our business problem, and they gave us like an option out of 10. You know what? Which one was our top one? And you could have anything like operations, marketing, and sales, which was the one I had, and communication or something like that, marketing, sales, communication. So my firm, and before I was placed in Lincoln, Nebraska. That's why I decided to wear this shirt today. I got this one, Nebraska, which is in the Midwest of the states. And I was a little skeptical when I found out. I remember asking the guy from IF Diego. I was like, do we have to choose that, or do we have to? Could we wait for another one? And and then eventually I was like, you know what? I've never been to that part. I think the furthest north I've been to the Midwest in the States was St. Louis, which is like 4 hours away from Lincoln, 6 hours away from Lincoln. So I was like, okay, you know what? A new place. Why not? Just because with what I do, again, it's like government agencies and stuff. So I was hoping to be placed on the East Coast in Washington, actually, to network and stuff like that. But I was like, you know what? Whatever. I was like, okay, I don't know if this is a good thing or bad thing. Let's see what happens. And actually, it turned out to be a good thing. So I was placed in Lincoln, Nebraska, and the name of my host organization was Carson and Co Global. And they're a small strategic communications firm that provides support to government agencies and nonprofits and other organizations using research to communicate anything that they're hired to communicate. So you could see the link there already with the research, but also because I had the issue with communications and marketing, that was a strategic thing on IREX's part to link me with them so that they could actually help me with that with the competition as well. And another good thing that is that they were also interested in monitoring and evaluation, and I'm taking that on as one of their services, so to speak, in a small way. So I was able to share that knowledge with them too. So when we speak about exchange, it was a really, really good exchange. And just to be clear, oh, I didn't realize from the last question, one of the things I did to prepare as well, once I found out about where I was placed, I tried to learn as much as I can about the city and things to do as it pertains to transport, how to get around, and these types of things. If you're lucky enough, like I was lucky to get placed very early, so I had like 3 months. Some people didn't get placed until like a week or two before we had to leave, so that's not much time. But that's something you should anticipate to do. Put it down on your to-do list once you find out where you're going to be placed.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that with us, Veronique. So at this point, we're going to take a little bit of a break. And then when we come back, we're going to welcome our other guest to the seat so that we can continue our conversation. Because, of course, the next few questions are very pertinent to her. So,
Okay.
those of you who are watching on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube, please stay tuned. When we come back, we are going to continue our conversation with Veronique and with our next guest. You are watching St. Lucians for YLAI 2024 with me. I'm your host, Michelle Samuel. We will be back soon.
What do you need to transform your career goals into reality? You need the YLAI Network.
You guys are awesome. I'm forever grateful for being a part of this network, which has changed my life and my confidence.
What is the YLAI Network? Your connection to an abundance of resources. There are so many valuable tools, such as online courses, training videos, toolkits, discussion guides, blogs, and workbooks. That is the YLAI Network, and it's all available at ylai.state.gov.
Very proud to be a part of this.
The YLAI Network gives members the means to grow as entrepreneurs and improve their communities.
This is a call to you, young leaders of Latin America, the Caribbean, and Canada. It's your chance to develop your skills, expand your business, and network with leaders and with your peers. It's a way for you to enhance your knowledge, your economic opportunities, and your future. When you join the YLAI Network, you'll get regular updates on new initiatives, opportunities, and information created specifically for young leaders. You can engage on social media and join important discussions that affect your community. You can use all of these digital resources to expand your entrepreneurial potential and create a brighter future. By joining the YLAI Network, you gain access to all the benefits. You can expand your skills and connect with fellow leaders working to create change in their communities. The YLAI Network empowers you to achieve and succeed. Don't wait for change. Create it. To learn more about the YLAI Network and to become a member, go to ylai.state.gov.
And we are back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You are watching St. Lucians for YLAI 2024 live Q&A with Miss Veronique Lamontagne-Flerin and my newly added guest, Miss Sharine Joseph. Thank you for those of you who are watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Again, please share the link so that you can have your friends and your colleagues learn about this program and understand what the experience was like from a St. Lucian who actually participated last year, and also get to learn who is going to be responsible or representing St. Lucia this year, so that you know that, hey, you too can apply for 2024, which is what our campaign is about, gaining traction for St. Lucians to apply for 2024. So let's go straight into my chat with Sharine. So Sharine, welcome to the live. Great to have you. Can you please briefly introduce yourself to our viewers and let them know who you are and the name and nature of your business?
So my name is Sharine Joseph. I am the owner of Blue Media Marketing. Sorry for my camera quality. I'm saying that well early because, child. But anyways, Blue Media Marketing is a social media marketing and consultancy business. We basically do everything to help small business owners get online and stay trending. When I say that, I mean that we provide all the services that you need to create an online presence and be able to grow your business and generate sales on these platforms. So we provide services such as social media page setups and management. We do consultations, social media consultations. We do social media training, specifically Instagram training. We have we have Instagram ebooks and stuff that you can use to help you grow online. We do content creation. We do product unboxing and reviews. We do Canva training. We do video. Phone videography training. So we do a whole list of stuff that will basically give you all the skills and all of the resources that you need to grow your business on a social media platform.
Woo, that was a laundry list of we do. So if you heard any of those things that you need in your business or you need in your life, and you heard her say we do, then you know who to contact. That's Blue Media Marketing. That's Sharine Joseph. Okay, so Sharine, now that we know who you are, and now that we know what you do in terms of your business, you now have a very close tie with the very same fellowship that we're talking about, which is YLAI. Can you please take us through that journey of you applying, to the program and what brought you here today?
Okay, so when I did the Dream to Reality, which is now us and Lucia, the Women in Business course, that is where I first heard about YLAI, and I became excited about this. And I said, let me join the network and stuff. But it took me, Dream to Reality was since 2020. We're in 2023 now. So it took me about 2 years to finally decide that I wanted to be part of the YLAI Fellowship program, simply because I hesitated in applying because I thought my business was not good enough. My business wasn't ready for that kind of thing. So I was always scared of applying. But last year in 2022, I decided, hey, I should give it a shot and find out and see how it goes and stuff. So, I applied. It takes a while for you to hear after the application process for you to hear from them again, but they keep you updated via emails and stuff. So when I found out that I actually made it through the first filtration process, I was really excited because I never expected. I said I was just doing it, but I never expected, to actually get through with it. So when I got contacted for the interview and stuff, I had a really great experience in terms of the interviews. The interviewers were very impressed with my business and what I did and stuff. And after that, it was a long process to find out if you actually made the finalist list. I actually was on a waiting list. I didn't even know I would have even made it to the finalist group. And I contacted Michelle because I was like, Michelle, I'm on a waiting list, and oh my god, I'm not even sure if I will make it. And I was so demotivated because usually when they put you on a waiting list, you would become part of the finalists if like something happens to somebody pulls out of the program or anything of that sort. And I was saying like an opportunity like that, ain't nobody pulling out of the program or letting that slot go for me to feel that slot. So I was demotivated and I was like, you know what, I give up on that. Just leave that alone. And I just decided to move on, but I got that email and they told me congratulations. Oh my god, I was so excited. And I called Michelle and I was like, oh my god, Michelle, I got through. And it was such an exciting time because knowing about this program, there are a lot of things that you as an entrepreneur can benefit from being part of it. So I was really, really excited to start that journey. We actually started already because we're doing an online process and then we go to the physical process. And it has been great so far. I've met so many people and we haven't even got to the meat of the matter yet, but I've met so many amazing entrepreneurs from all over the world. We actually just started our pep groups. So I have some really amazing entrepreneurs that I'm working with currently from different countries, from Colombia, from the US, from different countries, and I'm learning so many things. The input and the feedback that they give you to help you grow your business is so valuable. So far it has been wonderful. The only thing I'm struggling with is completing the modules because oh my god, it's a lot of brain power because you really have to dig deep to find out what your business is struggling with and certain things that you have to how you say that you need to improve and stuff. So it makes you really think and dig deep and figure out like how you're going to make your business better. So these are some of the things that in particular is what I'm struggling with. But so far it's been really, really great.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that and being completely honest with us, Sharine. Now, there are a couple of things that Sharine said that I know would resonate with a lot of people. We call it dragging our feet in some cases. That's one term for it. We call it, how would I put it? We call it lackadaisical type of attitude. That's another term that we use for it. But the more colloquial term is sleeping on you. So in the case of Sharine, and in the case of a lot of other people, when opportunities are at your feet and it seems too good to be true, and it seems like, I'm not good enough. I really love the fact that you admittedly said that, Sharine, because this is what a lot of young persons experience internally, where they feel they're not good enough, or their business or their idea is not, you know, and not because they feel so, it's because of the reception they may get around them or from the people that they encounter. So they feel that based on that feedback, it's not up to par with the level of this program. But let me just say that this is one program that identifies with persons who have an innate, underlying, hidden talent and skill to solve real problems. And this is what the program is all about, bringing that to the forefront and then providing you with the tools and resources to expand on that. So I really appreciate that you mentioned that, Sharine. So for those of you who are watching and listening, this is a call to you. If you feel that your business venture or your social venture is not good enough, mainly because of the reception that you get from friends, from family, from your surroundings, advice is to seek within your network, that within your, how would I say it, not within your line of work per se, but people who understand you. And we call that a safe space, minded. Okay, now here in St. Lucia, we have this program called Startup Huddle St. Lucia, which Veronique mentioned. And that was a safe space, for entrepreneurs and leaders of all ages to come together in a room or within a meeting when we met virtually to talk to people just like you and get feedback as well as encouragement and motivation from these people. So this is not a safe space of naysayers. This is a safe space to tell you, hey, we have your back. So I really appreciate the fact that Veronique mentioned that, and also that, Sharine, you alluded to not believing in yourself. But there's something I loved even more, was that when you said, and that is a private conversation that we had, when you said, surprise, waited this long. What took you so long? Like all this time you're believing you're not good enough, but in fact, they were waiting on you. Like, what took you so long, girl? Will you know people like you? So this goes to show that if you feel like Sharine, maybe you can have a conversation with Sharine and she can give you a pep talk on what that is like, because of course she has been there. So again, those of you and on YouTube, St. Lucians, I like to talk to last year's fellow, who is Veronique Lamontagne-Flerin. And we're also talking this year's finalist, Sharine Joseph. And at this point, our questions are going to take a bit of a shift, because we want to have a bit of a discourse between Veronique and Sharine. Because of course, Sharine must have 1,000,001 questions for you, Veronique, as to what to potentially expect. Because you've been there, you know what it's like, you have the inside track. So this is what we're going to be going into. So in terms of your experience, can you share with Sharine the need to know with us as to what that experience was like?
Um, so many things. I like to give people a well-rounded view of things, which means negative and positive. Some of the negative things I probably would speak to you about in privately. Um, I'll speak to you about in private, sorry. But professionally, I'll still mention some things, but you know, professionally, I thought with my match, it was perfect. Actually, with my host organization, I even said that like about 2 weeks in, when I really, even before I was I kind of realized like, yeah, I really like these people and stuff like that. And it's a women led firm. Um, it's two women. It's a small firm, but it's a women led firm. So that again is very important to me, women's issues and women in business and stuff like that. And it was also something important to them as well. So when I say it was a perfect match, I mean like with our working style. and how I would like to work in the future as well. They were very efficient. Everything was an email, a quick thing. As soon as we speak about it, like, oh, let's put it on the books. Like, let's schedule it. Let's do this, whatever. So it was like, you don't really wait for things to happen. Like how it's kind of like our culture a little bit. Like, okay, we'll do this later, and then when the time comes, it doesn't really happen, or we have to scramble to make it happen. Like things were just happening right away on time, which was great. I got introduced to a few government officials because, as I said, M&E, that's one of the main targets for me is government officials and stuff, and they also work with them. So that was nice. I actually met I met the mayor of the town. I met a couple of people towards the end and after who were the heads of economic development for the state and also for health for the state because my background is actually in public health, epidemiology specifically. But with M&E, it could be applied to anywhere. It would be great that people specify what they do within M&E or they specialize. So I would be more of a specialist within health for M&E, but really, when you're dealing with data, you could be translated to any any sector, any group, anywhere. You just have to know what you're doing, obviously. But um, it was good. So I also got to create a theory of change for my host organization, for their organization, which actually helped me with my resume, and also create a project results framework for them as well. Because that's, as I said, that was something they were interested in. They wanted to get more organized in that way too, so that when they met a new client or they took on a new project, that they were able to go through things and be able to record different processes and how long did it take for this and whatnot. So I was able to help with that. So that was really great. That was really one of my main assignments. Um, so the way it works for the first 4 weeks, Monday to Thursday, we go to our host organization, and on Fridays we meet up with the group. So everybody goes out to the host organization, and on Friday we all meet up. And I always liked our Friday sessions. It was really nice. Our cohort leaders were the best. Like they were so nice, so patient. So I like she was just so patient. Like I would pull my hair out, even like with just getting us to come downstairs or to go on a bus. It was. I remember she used this phrase. It's like she said something about getting kittens, gathering kittens together. That's what it's like. Like us, like everybody's scattered. You put one here, and then by the time you go get the other one, that one left and stuff like that. She was just so patient with the way that she treated us and stuff like that. So and generous. So that was a really good experience. I loved our Friday sessions. I really did like it a lot because it was kind of like a free up from the work day, and you got to explore the city and stuff like that sometimes. And even on your free time, you could do that as well. For the competition part, I mean, a few of us had our things about that. I felt like some of it was unrealistic the way that it was structured a little bit. It turned into a popularity contest, honestly, because we were in the first round, we were voting for each other, so it didn't make any sense in that way. So yeah, like I already expressed my grievances with the embassy and stuff about that, and a few of us did actually. So hopefully in the future certain things change. I want to see what it will look like this year, really. But really other than that, overall it was a really good experience. Everything was happening really fast though, especially when you get to Washington on the last week. It's like everything is fast paced, fast paced. They have so many sessions, so many things to choose from. Do this, do that. Like it was a lot. They had times, and that's one of a little bit of my advice as well. Like I had to take a break away from everybody. It was like 300 of us at least in one room at some point, like most of the time. And then you have the IREX officials and everybody. So it's just a lot sometimes, just everything being overwhelming. But overall, it was good. But it will be fast. It will go by really fast.
Okay, so I have a question about the solution pitch competition because that has been something I'm currently struggling with.
Hmm.
So what was the experience like putting that entire presentation together and stuff like that?
Talking about for the first round, yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, we had 90 seconds to say so much. I don't know how many takes I did. I thought it would have taken me like, because it's 90 seconds. So I'm like, 15 minutes. I mean, I could do that, what, five, six times, whatever. No, 10 times or whatever, right? So I could do it 10 times, but I really took a long, and like I wrote out everything. And I'm the type of person, like, if I write it out and I go through it, I'll be able to repeat it, like, like without watching the words again. But it 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 was a thing. But the thing is, on Fridays leading up to it, because I think 3 weeks within your placement, you have to turn in the video. So we were using the first 2 or 3 Fridays to work on that. So I don't know if that's something our cohort leader did for us, or if that's something that they encourage everybody to do. But we people came in to help us with pitching. Like the very first day, get up and start talking about your business, or get up and give us your pitch. Like, and everybody was reserved. So I would also tell you to have something prepared just in case, because I thought, like, they're just going to give us a little bit of tips, but everybody, like, kind of, because that's your competition right next to you, and only one person, from the way it was structured last year, only one person is going to go through for your cohort. So people were reluctant to, like, talk about you talking for their business, but I actually did use it. I actually did use the opportunity to speak on whatever, because at the end of the day, everybody has a different business. I think it kind of hurt me in the end. That's my own personal opinion, but because people are not fair, like they would not be fair. So it it it, I just took it as an opportunity for me personally to learn, so that when I get in front of people, that I could just speak to them about my business. Because it got to the point where by the time we got to the third Friday, I didn't have no feedback. Nobody, they couldn't say anything, and I was hitting the 90-second mark without any issue. So um I would say prepare something still, though. But if you don't, you obviously have time while you're still up there. But what is your issue? What is your business problem that you're working on?
My finances.
Okay.
So yeah,
Um, One thing I would say, look at the criteria and just make sure, ask yourself, are you answering what is in the criteria? Although, again, in a way, it doesn't matter, because if we're the ones voting, and I went by the criteria when I was voting, when I was choosing the persons that I wanted to go through, but it's not always the case with everybody. There was a whole scandal, let me tell you, with another cohort. No, for true. Like, there was somebody shared a link on Facebook, and they got people to vote for them in the second round, which was illegal, obviously, because you all had to vote. They had people out there. It was a mess. Um, but yeah, just, I guess all I could tell you is just go by the criteria. Hopefully, they change the way they do it this year, because one of the suggestions of one of the fellows was to have people from fellows from the past vote, which I think would be fair. Let them look at the criteria and they vote, and they've been through the process and whatnot, instead of making us. I understand, like, it's 300 people and they're trying to, do it quickly, but still, like, it's it's not fair, to people, I think. But
I
anyway.
think they're going to allow.
I think
Um,
I'm
I
sorry to
think
interrupt, but I
I'm not
want to
sure.
get in on this conversation. That you're having right now in terms of the voting and whatnot. I actually was really surprised when I heard you experience that, Veronique. And the reason I'm saying is because maybe my year was the last best year. I'm maybe being biased,
Okay.
but maybe my year was the last best year. Reason being is because the cohorts in my year were so very supportive of each other, and I'm not
Mm,
sure whether the other groups experience what you experienced. But I can only speak from mine. In the group that I was placed in with Kansas City, Missouri, where we were placed, the group that I had with me, we were so close. We were so
mhm.
supportive of each other, and we looked out for each other. So if someone's pitch wasn't really sounding right, everybody
Mhm.
be on that person's case. We would be
Oh.
assisting each other. That's how much we looked out for each other. We would practice together. right? And we would give feedback. We would use our informal sessions. So let's say if we gathered in the living room, or if we're at lunch or something, and somebody maybe say, hey, maybe try this and see how that sounds. I'm like, nah, you need to work on that a bit more. There's always there's always room for improvement. And when it came down to the actual final days before the final submission, yes, the competition was heightened because it's only one person, from that group that's going to go forward. We still were like cheering each other on. Every person went to pitch, yeah, go, yeah, go. Like that's how we will. The camaraderie was just amazing. So this was a far cry from what you just explained, Veronique. But
Mhm.
that goes to show that the people that you are grouped with may not be the type of people that you're used to. There's a diverse group of persons from around the region. So, Veronique, maybe that can give us a bit of an idea as to why your group was competitive. Can you tell me predominantly where did your group members originate from? What part of the region?
They were mainly Latino. So I had 13 people in our group, so maybe
That's
eight of
right.
them.
That's why
were-
the Latin people are very competitive.
Mhm.
So
And
that is
they
something that
yes.
may have been like a culture shock for you, but it was something that was mentioned in my year, but it was competitive, but in a good way, right?
Mhm.
Because they saw that as a way to sort of, up your game, in a sense. So I totally understand why now, because in our year it was the same way. They are naturally very competitive.
So
Did you
question,
okay?
um, sorry to interrupt.
Just a
Question.
quick question now for
Yeah.
Michelle. When y'all did the pitch, did y'all do it in front of each other
Yes, we
when
did.
y'all voted? That was
Not
something
the
I
not the not the
suggested.
recording, not the recording. The recording we didn't do together or in the same room. But in terms
Mhm.
of the practicing for
Oh,
the
okay,
recording, the practicing for presentation, we did that together.
that's what I meant.
Sometimes even off the record, let's say
Mhm.
while we were in our hotel rooms or while we were like just hanging out, we would still practice together.
Okay,
Unscripted. It was just something we
no,
did.
I meant the final thing. So y'all did submit a video, and that's what everybody voted on, not live in person.
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's what I thought that was the difference. Does the same thing happen? Sorry, Sharon, go ahead.
Okay, so y'all had pep groups, right? So my question is, I don't know if you all had pep groups. Did you all have if you all had pep groups, right? Do you when you go over, do you remain with the same set of people or you separate? So what's the point of the pep group if you're going to be separated from them because you build a whole bond there already?
Well,
Because I
well,
love my pep group.
I guess that's the thing. You're giving you different opportunities to meet different people because um, you may not link up with them in your cohort because I think the pep groups are almost based on the same type of business. I think you have right,
Mm-hmm.
so they will not place three people in the data science like with me. They would not place. I'm sure they would not place us in the same. Or it might logistically, it may not even make sense for them to do that either. So you more than likely will not get them. But I guess it's just another opportunity for you to meet a new set of people, and I find they do a very good job of that, giving you opportunities to meet a different set. Because even when you go into these small breakout rooms with people during the sessions, I was trying to write down everybody's names so that when I got to Washington, I could find them. But then I never got a chance to do that at all. So yeah.
But one thing about the pep group that I noticed is not all of us are in the same industry because I have a whole makeup
Oh,
artist in my pep group. But
okay.
one of her major issues is marketing.
Marketing. Okay.
So it's like they put us all together to address each other's
Mm,
weaknesses and stuff.
okay.
That is why I was asking because oh my god,
Well, my
I
group, I
love
think
them.
we had.
I don't want
Let's
to
see.
part with them, but oh well. Um,
I
my
mean,
next
y'all can
question.
keep in touch and see each other when you get to Washington.
Yes, we actually have a WhatsApp group that we speak
Oh,
about different things. We give each other's ideas and stuff like that. So it's really nice and insightful. My next question is um the living arrangement with your fellows. Like, what was that experience like? Because oh my god, I am so Nervous about that.
I mean, I kind of, my living arrangement was what I expected. They told us that we will be living in apartments and we might have shared rooms, like a shared apartment, but not a room. I didn't have a shared room. I had a roommate, but oh my gosh, from the time we got there, it's crazy. Like with my cohort, as I said, we had 13 people. Our group, they called our city was Lincoln in Nebraska, which is the capital of Nebraska. But one, two, three, four, five, six. So 8 of us were in Lincoln, and the other 5 were in Omaha, which is the major city in Nebraska, the biggest one really, and which is an hour away from Lincoln. So they were placed at organizations there, and we were placed in organizations there. And on top of the 4 of us, was it 4? 7 of us, sorry, 7 and 6. That's what it was. 7 here in Lincoln and 6 in Nebraska. Let me sorry, no Omaha. And on top of that, the 7 of us were still separated by 4-3 because 3 of them were downtown and 4 of us, 2 boys, 2 girls, we were put in some apartments like in the north of Lincoln. So with me specifically, I think they got something wrong with me because the 3 of the 4 of us, the 2 guys and my roommate, they were going to the same exact place for work every day, and I wasn't. So they got to Uber together and all these type of things, and I wasn't able to do that. So I had to find my own way to get, and it was different times as well and stuff like that. But then when I found out later towards the end, one of the fellows that was downtown living in a hotel, there were 3 of them living in a hotel. So you didn't get to cook for yourself. I didn't know that was an option, but they did get like free breakfast, but you have to find your lunch and your dinner, of course. So, and you could buy stuff and have it in your room, of course. But with us, since we had an apartment, we could cook morning, noon, or night. It doesn't matter. Although we used to go to the hotel and get breakfast on a Friday. So, because we used to meet up there anyway to go to the other things. Sometimes our sessions was close by there. Our sessions were close by. So they had that separation, and then towards the end, we realized that I was supposed to be downtown, and then one of them the other girl was supposed to be up north because her actual host was close by the apartments. I mean, things like that happen. We tried to, I guess, when we first got there, they tried to get to go downtown as well, but they already had the things together logistically, and that was something else we expressed that they didn't include the local cohort leaders in the planning of housing. So they didn't really know exactly, you probably look at a map and say, okay, there and there, we place that person there, but you don't know until you're on the ground how far that is. And in some place like Lincoln, the public transport system is not the best. Most of the buses stop by 5:30, 6 o'clock, except for one of the main buses, but most of them stop around that time. Some of them only come every 1 hour. So you had to really Uber a lot around the place. So a lot of your money went into transport. So, and some people, theirs didn't really, but that's another thing with budgeting. I'll get to a little later. But yeah, the housing. I mean, my roommate was really cool. Like she stayed in her room, I stayed in my room. We had our shared space. We spoke like we would just clean up after ourselves, share the fridge, whatever. And it's all a short time too, so it's not that much like you have to stay forever with somebody or whatever. But it was cool though.
Veronique, thank you so much for sharing that experience. And we're coming close to the end of our time. And of course, I will be encouraging you and Sharine to connect and continue the conversation after we end. But before we close, I just want to quickly just inform persons. If you're looking at the who is the YLAI for? So in terms of geographical areas, we're looking at Antigua and Barbuda, Argentina, Aruba, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Curacao, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Grenada, Guatemala, Guyana, Haiti, Honduras, Jamaica, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, of course, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Martin, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Uruguay, and Venezuela. So if you live in any of those islands, you are eligible. In terms of the who is it specifically for? They are looking for persons who are 25 to 35 years old. Anywhere between that age range, by January 1st, 2024, you can apply. But you must be already successfully growing your business or social venture for at least 2 years. So these are the major, I would say, eligibility criteria. Have to be between 25 to 35, and you have to be in business for a period of 2 years minimum. And of course, the conversation will continue after this event ends. But the final question, but before we go, I just want to have one final question to you, and then we will conclude. So, Veronique, what give us 3 tips,
Mhm.
and these are suggestions for the current 2024 program. Can you give us just 3 bits of advice that you can give them for in terms
Okay.
of the preparation? These 3 bits of
Um,
advice. But before you answer the question, I would just like to say that I will be jumping off this call so that the two of you can conclude your conversation. Like I said, the conversation can continue after the live ends, but I will be jumping off and be listening in the background. So you can go ahead with your answer, Veronique.
sure. I think one of them, I have a story behind that. I don't think we might have too much time, but something that really, within the first week or so when I got there, that really made me realize, like, Veronica, you're not in your country anymore. I had a little run in with or someone of the Caucasian persuasion, um, that I feel like was a little racially charged, and then it may or may not have been, but I find it was just unnecessarily aggressive. And then it just really, I really had to think, like, Veronic, like, you're not in your country anymore. The certain things you expect from people walking around in your country is not the same as in the States. The States is kind of racially charged right now. Not saying everywhere is like that, but like, and not until you see it on the news then you find out like this incident happened in this city, So I would just say be mindful that of your background and other people's background, and just be more on the lookout. Don't be too touristy. I mean, it's nice you're kind of on a little vacation, but you're still working. There are times when you have like that little free up, but you want to be more mindful that you're not in a place where people think of black people the same way as you do in your own country. So you want to be very careful. Um, just be very mindful. I don't just say be careful because you shouldn't be walking on eggshells anyway. You should be standing in who you are. But just be very mindful that people can do something if they felt like it, to you, to harm you and stuff like that. So that's really my biggest piece of advice, because it really was an epiphany for me. Like the first week or so, I was like, and some other things happened after that too, in the same lane, but that's another story. I'd also say some more practical advice: pack light. Like just pack. I mean, you're working 4 days a week. Maybe pack 2 pants, two skirts. I don't know what type of clothes you wear, or something that you could reuse the next week again, because nobody would care, honestly. And then like you have all these options. I'm horrible. So I had all these clothes and I never really got to wear them. And then when I found out like how far the bus was away from everything, and I had to walk like 20 minutes to the bus and from it, like I ended up wearing more pants than the skirts. So it's like, just, and I had to go buy pants too. So you just be mindful with your packing and stuff. Just wear something that you could use every week maybe. And on Fridays you end up using probably the same sweater over everything. So if you have like a t-shirt, because where most of the time we were cold in the classrooms, we were in classrooms and stuff like that. Um, Also, maybe my last thing would be just be careful. Again, not everybody is who they seem to be, but be careful also who you choose to collaborate with. And I could explain what I mean by that later. But not everybody has the best of intention. I think Michelle mentioned something similar to that earlier on. But like, just be mindful. But there are people who are willing to make connections, and do not be afraid to sell yourself, and your business. And there, yeah, there are people that are willing to help, and they just try to use your discernment really and see who actually would make a very viable partnership and stuff like that. But just be careful. Just be on really. I mean, it's so exciting. You're around a bunch of people and so many things going on, but you really want to be smart and use the time wisely. And oh, maybe the last thing I would say is take a break after this, because if you can take a break, whether you come back home or you stay up there for a couple of weeks, take a break, because everything going by so fast, you'll be exhausted when it's finally over. I didn't even realize. I met up with a friend of mine, and she couldn't understand why I was like so exhausted. I was like, girl, I just came from 5 weeks of going. I just need like a couple of days just to chill out. So I would say that. I think that's 4 pieces of advice, but I have more for you. So once we're done on the live, I'll let you know. I see Michelle went off already, but it's still showing